is to bring tougher laws for paper leak. Congress corners center over alleged use of pellet guns at students at CJP protest and AK-47 at students in Bihar. Rahul questions Home Minister Amit Shah, writes a letter and asks, did you approve of the use of lethal force? Bihar policeman suspended after a video of him using AK-47 rifle against protesting students during the July 25th Bihar Bandh protest in Siwan district went viral. Nitin Gadkari moves Bombay High Court against defamatory post, deepfake, linking him and his family to E20 profits. Union Minister seeks to file a civil suit against Meta, X and Google. Actor Dhanush urges his fans to focus on community welfare instead of just celebrating his films. Actor remarks sparks buzz over his possible entry into politics. And now to the real buzzword. Yes, Gen Z. After the protest in Jantar Mantar came to an end, there is a race for the Gen Z vote. All political parties have become extremely aware of the power of the young voter in India. It is for this reason opposition has lashed onto it. Telangana's Chief Minister, Revanth Reddy, has demanded that the minimum age of contesting elections be brought down to 21 from 25. This demand has been supported by Union Minister Jayant Chaudhary. Germany and UK allow 18 years old to contest polls in Singapore, and in minimum age there for becoming Prime Minister is 21. In India, citizens can contest municipal and Gram Sabha elections at the age of 21. And Revanth Reddy said the following.
21 साल के बच्चा IAS, IPS, यूनिकॉर्न्स, फॉर्च्यून 500 कंपनीज का CEOs सब कुछ बन रहा है. उनका शक्ति, उनके नॉलेज सब कुछ दिखते आ रहा है. फिर क्यों राजनीति में नहीं? हर चीज, हर मिनट, हर सेकंड हमारा युवा शक्ति देख रहा है, सोच रहा है, काम में लग गए तो कानून बदलने का समय आ गए. जब कुछ विचार के समय आ गए, दुनिया में कोई ताकत नहीं रोक सकता है. अभी युवा शक्ति ने सड़क में लड़ने से छोड़कर संसद में आने के लिए वो तैयार हो गए, वो आना चाहता है.
On the other hand, new online movements have made an appearance. Reservation Bachao Andolan and E20 Janata Party are two such online movements that have gained traction on social media sites. Then the pressure has also led to the government changing its strategy. The ruling dispensation has become active on Instagram. Prime Minister Modi has announced a committee to look into reforming the examination system of India. Government is already working to make punishment tougher and fast-track courts to have been set up. But the issue has refused to die down in Parliament. Because the big question is, will Gen Z protests be limited to education sector? Are Gen Z protests symptomatic of something deeper? Is Indian politics witnessing a churn? And have Gen Zs reinvented student protests in India? Let me take some vox pops first.
That age should not be less than 25. Everyone has their personal opinions and reviews, but if I see the age criteria is 25, that is personally very good at that level, because 25 is an age of maturity when person can achieve a mental stability and he can have their mental stability to take the decisions as of in the political influence or anything like that.
आज का युवान है जो जेन जी जनरेशन है, जो अपडेटेड जनरेशन कहा जाता है जिसको, कि जो पहले से ही टेक्नोलॉजी और राजकारण के नजदीक रहा है ये युवान, क्योंकि अपनी डिमांड्स को पूरी कैसे करना है, अपनी डिमांड्स को फुलफिल किस तरीके से करना है, वो आज का युवान जानता है. और दूसरी बात ये है कि IAS, IPS जैसी जो एग्जामिनेशन होती है उनके लिए भी एज लिमिट 21 है.
On this issue, I'm joined by Sharanya Verma, student. She joins me from Shimla. I'm joined by Ishita Singh, actor and influencer. I'm joined by Brijesh Pandey, input editor. I'll be joined by my other guests, but thank you all of you. Let me just start by Ishita. Ishita, tell me, do you think that there's a race to capture this Gen Z movement by traditional political parties because they felt discredited? Their student politics have not flowered into something which the sort of protest which happened in Jantar Mantar created. I mean, so it led to resignation of a minister. After MJ Akbar, this was the second minister who had put in his papers. Do you think that India too, like UK and Germany, should allow young people to contest elections at the age of 21, both Lok Sabha and Assembly?
I think the whole perception for Gen Z and this generation, apparently, people used to say that we are going to destroy the whole generation because everybody is on social media, everybody is following, being a follower of, something they see on social media. I think it's a true example, this protest, and the victory of this protest is a true example that how a Gen Z can use the social media in a right way and not mainstream media covering the protest, but yet the real news, the real problems, the real issue, the real motive of the protest was being mainstreamed by the social media, by the youth, by the Gen Zs. So now everybody has all of a sudden started supporting Gen Zs. जो पहले they used to say that कि oh मतलब they are just wasting time, 8 hours on phone, 10 hours on phone. Now the whole perception is changing for Gen Zs. Now they are saying that Gen Zs are new future. Now they are saying that Gen Z should elect the election and the age limit should come down to 21 to 25. I think now they are understanding the power and the mental strength of Gen Zs. Earlier, like people used to discourage it in so many ways. Now they think to come in limelight we should bring out the issue of Gen Zs, bring down the age limit for being the part of the election, being elected at the age of 21. Now why they are coming with these points, why earlier they were not talking about it, is my question. My question is now everybody is all of a sudden being talking in favor of Gen Zs. Where are they earlier when things were happening with the students? Why didn't they talk then? Why everybody is talking now about Gen Z?
Okay, let me take opening comments from Sharanya. Thank you so much for joining me from Simla. Your opening comments, suddenly now politicians are saying, Jayant is saying, the Chief Minister of Telangana is saying that basically age 21 is the Gen Z age, that they should be allowed to contest elections. Does it address the Gen Z issue?
Definitely, I don't think it addresses the larger issue, and the issue is not really a Gen Z issue. The issue concerns each and every citizen of our country, in the sense that this issue was not just a Gen Z issue, it was the issue of education. It was the question of education, and not just for Gen Z, but even for the upcoming generations. The generation that is called Gen Alpha. Education is something that secures the future for each and everyone, not just the current generation that we are calling Gen Z right now. Yes, that realization has come somewhere or the other, that, oh, this generation is not just, on their phones. They can get to the streets and hit the streets and talk about their rights and fight for their rights. But then the larger question is also about education. And it is something that needs to be addressed across states by different political parties and different ministries. And the question of education and the question of just watering it down to Gen Z does not also seem fair, because then you seem to be playing this social media game and not talk about the actual issue, that is of education reaching to each and every student, be it them coming from any community, any background, or any financial background for that matter. So I think that is education is the real issue here. And when the people of my generation saw that our education is being played with, and it is not reaching each and every one of us, I think that is what motivated all of us to hit the streets and take up this and take part in this movement.
Okay, Sharanya, tell me, what are the Gen Z anxieties? What are the Gen Z concerns?
I think, Gen Z concerns, 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 I think, Gen Z concer The Gen Z concerns, I would say, see, when I look around, I'm a student, and when I meet other students in this 1 month long sit-in also, I was meeting so many people, and most of them had concerns. The people who gave re-NEET, obviously, they had so many concerns that we prepare for one competitive exams. People coming who gave different competitive exams would say that NEET is not the only exam that is leaked. It has happened across exams, it has happened across states. And they would say that our parents give so much money for coachings. We spend so much time, so much of our mental abilities go into that, and then a paper leaks. That is one issue. And then how we can see across universities, in public universities, the fee is constantly being raised. So education has become inaccessible to people. You can see that. I think in the last 10 years, around 90,000 government schools have been closed or merged. So we can overall see that the sort of attack on education is going on, and it directly affects the Gen Z. It directly affects all of us. When we go to our universities, we see that we don't have permanent faculties there. We don't have appointments for faculties even after our semesters start for 2 months. So when we are going to universities, we're paying the fee, we are expecting something. We go through the prospectus of a university and we think that, okay, now we are in higher education. And now our future will go towards a brighter on a brighter path. But then we see that in our universities, we are not getting the basic infrastructure.
Okay.
We are not getting permanent faculties.
Okay.
So that is the anxiety that we're facing each and every day.
Okay, I'll come to certain issues one by one. Let's just politically decode it with Brijesh. Brijesh, suddenly Revanth Reddy gets active, then Jayant gets active. What does it tell us?
It tells us that our political parties were slightly late, but they were quick to catch up on this new currency called Gen Z voters, and they are extremely enthused by the fact that what opposition parties were not able to do till in the last 12 years. I think these kids have been able to do. And that is the reason why everyone is all of a sudden has been alerted to the new political phenomena, I would say, which is called the Gen Z and the Gen Z voters. The question, the point which was raised by Revanth or, Jayant, the fact of the matter is that, by barring students or barring, youth at the age of 21 to contest from any kind of election is in itself quite duplicitous. When you can allow an individual, allow a young man at 18 to cast his vote, when you can ask, give him wherewithal to elect a leader, why can't he be the leader himself? At the age of 21, you can be an IAS, IPS, and they are extremely important, positions as far as bureaucratic positions, as far as, making sure that the government's policies are implemented on the ground. So I honestly, I do feel that, if you can lower down the age limit from 25 to 21, to get these youngsters elected to either Lok Sabha or even in assembly elections, it'll do the entire population, also our understanding of Gen Z, a world of good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Ishita, coming back to the other issue. Now, there are a lot of, I would say, the pellet gun issue, the AK-47 issue, the FIR issue, but I really don't want to, focus on them first. What I really want to ask is, do you think that this entire Gen Z movement, Gen Z protest, Cockroach Janata Party, is it limited to one single issue of education, or do you think it can bloom into something different?
See, last time also I told you that I went, or I was the part of this protest not as a member of CJP, not as a member of any political party. I think Sharanya said it very rightly. It's an issue of every youth and every future which is being shaped by this country and which is being shaped by the government. So we are talking about the issues in the country. Education is one major issue which is being, becoming a business, that there is no fees limit. You in private schools now, a middle class people can also not take admission because the fees is so high, and because the currency is going so down, the on the level of country where we are standing right now, we are at a very low bar. So if you strong the education, if you shape the future of the youth, we will, we'll go continue and make a better future and make a better, placement of our country globally. So education is one major issue why everybody came all united. There was no caste, there was no religion, there was no, divide and rule. Was the opposition, the BJP party was trying to, put the dispute in between the children, in between the youth, but nothing worked. Nothing worked, and that is a clear, a very strong example by this protest when you don't divide yourself, when you all come united. So the, anybody will bend down, any government has to bend down when you, so this is the power of our unity. If we all come united and talk about an issue like
Okay.
how we talked about education, similarly if you talk about the other issues like
Ishita,
ethanol.
there is also one more thing. Sharanya, tell me, there is something called student politics in campus, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. How is this Gen Z politics different from the student politics? I was yesterday thinking that JNU में भी एक आंदोलन हुआ था, उसमें कन्हैया था. They were also young people. How's that politics different from what the Gen Zs did? I mean, say he must be 22, 23 at that point of time. What was the difference that it catapulted the entire government in a different direction?
See, one thing that needs to be acknowledged in all of these, in this huge movement also, is the contribution of the student organizations. I myself, I am from the organization Students Federation of India, SFI, and I wouldn't say that there was much of a difference. I think the major difference was that it was being seen and everything was being seen through social media, and everything was being communicated through social media because there was an absence of mainstream media there. But the difference per se, I think it was the first time when campus politics also took, not the first time maybe, but then it was also the student organizations that kept the spirits up at Jantar Mantar also and gave it a direction, in which, because it's a huge, it was a huge crowd, and to give direction to a crowd, to give the correct direction to the crowd, and to sustain that movement on ground, to keep it alive for a month, for almost a month. I think that is something that the student organizations need to be given credit for, and be it the videos of slogans reaching every home, people listening to issues of Sabko Shiksha, Sabko Kaam. These videos, these slogans reaching each and every person. So it was the student organization, and it was also the power of social media that sort of, when both of these things came together, we were able to reach a larger audience, and we were able to also bring people from their
Tell me,
home.
Sharanya, on the because we are discussing the issue of age of contest being brought down. Do you think it's going to really help Gen Z address their issue? Imagine you getting to fight elections next year or this year.
See,
Lok
again,
Sabha
I want
election
to
or assembly
reiterate
election?
I want to reiterate the fact that this is not just a Gen Z movement. This was a movement for education. And I would like to believe that our constitution provides us, each and every citizen of our country, the right to education. Right? It does that, which means that the government of our country, that the people that we elect, also have the duty to provide that right, to give that right, to make education accessible to each and every person. So it is a question of education. And I find that a little disappointing that the people that we have already elected, be whatever the age, that they feel that they are not capable enough to work on that
But they are
issue of education.
you guys have made them feel so anxious.
Definitely, that anxiety needs to be there, and I think that anxiety is important amongst political parties and ruling parties, for them to see that no, you have not um, played with our minds yet. Our minds are fresh. You think that we just scroll on social media, you will dismantle our education, you will not give us jobs, and you think that we will stop speaking about our rights, we will stop speaking about what we need as citizens of this country, that is wrong. That is not correct. So I think that anxiety needs to be there amongst them. And again, it's not the issue of just Gen Zs. More generations are coming. Gen Alpha is coming. There will be other generations upcoming. And they also need education. They also need employment. All of us need education and employment.
But you are
and
not
healthcare
interested in
facilities.
contesting elections at 21. It doesn't. Ishita, does it fire imagination? You getting to contest election this year or next year? मतलब यूपी का चुनाव ही लड़ लो. अभी होने वाला यूपी का चुनाव, यूपी का चुनाव लड़ लो, पंजाब का चुनाव लड़ लो.
I will be 30 in 1 month. So this age bracket is not, for me.
चलो ठीक है.
anymore.
Suppose you were 22 and I
have
suppose you were
crossed that age.
22. Suppose you were 22 और मौका मिल जाता 23 साल पे. Look, see, larger issue is कि
I would have loved to be a part of it, because if I think I'm mentally that much stable to understand the politics of our country, to understand how it works, how education works, how other system work. If I think I am capable for it, I would love to be a part of it. But if I think I am not capable of it, I will take a step back and I will let someone else who is more deserving to come in front and be a part of it.
Okay, Brijesh, when Rajiv Gandhi brought in Panchayati Raj, and he did two things. There was reservation for women, and the voting, people could vote. Early in Panchayati Raj, the voting was, I think, if I'm not wrong, it was at the higher ceiling, but it still didn't help him capture the vote. Neither the gender nor the age vote in 1980s.
Well, it's not that any reform which you bring in will normally get you vote. The fact of the matter is that if you remember, in 2024 general election, everybody was talking or saying that, the BJP is going to win 400 votes. There were absolutely no opposition, and nothing was working for the opposition. But the opposition got hold of one critical issue which resonated so, loudly with the voters, especially of Uttar Pradesh and others, that the mighty BJP was reduced to 240. So the question I would say, the answer I would say is that, more than getting a new reform and let it work wonders electorally for you, I think, the chief challenge for any political party is to find an issue which resonates with people by and large. As both of our esteemed panelists, they have been talking about, how they were fighting for education. Now, education is one issue, Karthike, in which, which has a large traction as far as, most of the population is concerned. I have two kids, both of them are going to school. I am worried about their education, and so are lakhs and lakhs of families whose children are appearing in giving competitive examination like NEET and others. So all of this, paper leak and all impacts them directly. And if you multiply, I mean, there are lakhs and lakhs of families and perhaps crores of students who are affected directly by it. So this is one particular issue which has a great resonance, and that is the reason why, this was one particular issue on which the government was not able to double down on the students. It's exactly a week before it started, the march to Jantar Mantar. And I'll be very honest and blunt about it, Karthike, that, what was started by, I would say, CJP and Sonam Wangchuk on Monday, when the lathi charge took place, it became a bigger issue, with students, genuine students, without any political affiliations. They were there, and, they all protested in their own areas, be it Allahabad, be it Bihar, or be it any, Mumbai, where we saw that young lady, stopping the police van. So, I mean, it had a natural resonance as far as the country is concerned.
Also in
Absolutely.
London.
Ishita, before I come to you, let me introduce Vijay Reddy. Vijay Reddy from CJP joins us from Hyderabad. Thank you, Vijay, for making time for News9. Vijay, after the success of your Andolan, now two very senior politicians are saying that 25 साल नहीं, Gen Z को 21 साल पे ही चुनाव लड़वा दो. And Revanth Reddy has said it, that there should be an amendment. He's going to pass a resolution in the assembly, and from 25 it should be brought down to 21. Union Skill Minister Jayant Chaudhary has said he had already written a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and way back in 2022, he had actually introduced a private members bill. Your comment, is this the Gen Z effect? Is this the effect of the Jantar Mantar protest?
Hi, and thanks to all the panelists and News9. Yes, this is a welcoming statement. I'm very grateful that this is coming from the Chief Minister of Telangana, the state I belong to. And this is a long-pending demand from all of the youth that it becomes hard, like, for us to enter into politics and then build a image out of it, and then for people to believe in us. Everything takes a little time. So if we were given a chance to start from the early ages, then it will definitely support us. And we also have the energy. And now that you're seeing, all of this movement was led by the youth, and more of social media influence, and everything is playing a crucial role right now. So as the days progress, the generation is getting more and more active, more and more proactive in politics. And I truly believe that the age has to come down. But now the question is, will those tickets be given to the kids of the politicians, or will they be given to the common youth? So if those youth are also represented by, let's say, future grandson of Mr. Revanth Reddy or other people, then it won't make any difference. It's just that they're giving their births to their offsprings very soon ahead, like very ahead of time. So that's one thing that we have to look at, is what I think.
But do you think it solves the issue? You see, I understand that at the age of 21, you can crack UPSC and you can be an IFS officer. You can be a training IAS officer. You can be in the Indian Army at the age of 21. But politics, you can fight Gram Sabha elections at 21. You can fight municipal elections at 21. In Germany at 18, UK at 18. If you're born in Singapore, if you are talented enough, Vijay, you can be the Prime Minister of Singapore if you are 21. So world over, they have accommodated this age curve. So India being a very populous country, I completely agree with you, and a country where political dynasties are reality. Whether it is national level, state level, district level, these are realities and it's not going to go away. Our kinship and political networks, they come together. Iska kuch ho nahi sakta hai. This is what we have. But does it really solve the Gen Z issues? Because you guys were able to do something which organized student protests had failed to do. To create so much of pressure that not only the minister had to go, a slew of reforms have been formed. Nandan Nilekani is heading that committee to reform examination. The guy who seeded Aadhaar, the concept of Aadhaar in this country.
So when the voice of the youth on the streets can do this much, imagine what the voice of the youth in the parliament and assemblies can do. So there might be differences. There might be a person representing a completely opposite viewpoint, but at least the wavelengths would match. At least the aspirations would match. At least the kind of mindset that we have and what the youth needs would match.
Okay. Vijay, you stay with me. Please don't go away. We are basically doing a larger discussion on whether bringing down the age really reflects the aspirations of the Gen Z, or are Gen Z looking at certain different issues which the traditional political parties and politicians are missing. But after a short break. Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
They want to attack us, they want to target us, so we have to defend ourselves.
They are punishing countries outside the region as well, like India, and like countries in South and East Asia.
The big problem that they've created now is the closure of the strait.
Ultimately, the main purpose of this exercise is, frankly, to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon.
Whenever they've got involved in a war on behalf of somebody else, there isn't been just an altruistic purpose.
The fallout from the deadly ambush on the church leaders in Manipur is now rapidly escalating across the hill districts.
Unfortunately, the government has not taken appropriate action still.
Commitment to the stories that come out from Northeast, and we'll continue to cover them in depth and entirety.
News 9, in your interest.
Welcome back to the special edition of On Point, and we were discussing whether reducing the age from 25 to 21 will actually address the Gen Z issue. And now I'm joined by Sakhi from Delhi University. She joins me in the studio. And K. Gopika Babu, she's from JNU. Thank you both of you. Sakhi is from Delhi University, Gopika is from JNU. Brijesh continues to be with me in the studio. Ishita Singh, actor and influencer, thank you for being with me. And Sharanya, she's also with me and she's joining me from Simla. So now let me straight away go to Sakhi first. Sakhi, we were discussing now the Gen Z effect is being felt by entire political superstructure, and I was saying that you guys should get to fight elections once you are 21-year-old. Does it address the issue? Does it address what has happened in Jantar Mantar? Do you think is it a knee-jerk attempt to capture the mood of Gen Z, or do you think that young people should be in assemblies and Lok Sabha?
I mean, I am not sure if everybody agrees, then we can do it. But is it really the issue that we really need to talk about right now? We fought such a big fight at Jantar Mantar for over 40 days, around 40 days, and there was barely the media was barely listening to us. The people in power were barely listening to us. So we need to make sure that our voices reach out. If I'm not really sure about 21 or 25, if that's going to solve our issues, but what we really need to start to talk about is the basic issues of education and how much is the government tolerable of listening to us. We need to start speaking up on if they really want to take accountability. Right now also, when Dharmendra Pradhan has been removed and there is somebody else, Prahlad Joshi, how much is he also going to be listening to us? And if they really want to work in the favor of our youth.
Okay, Gopika, your opening comments.
I think that more than if or not, whether or not, the age relaxation should be lowered from 25 to 21, I think what the youth now needs is education. And it is that where the government is faltering. It is public education sector that is crumbling in front of us, and that is what the issue of the youth is. This protest rage comes obviously from the amount of paper leaks that have happened, but the rage goes far beyond it. People like me, people like Sakhi, Sharanya, all of us are in this rat race where we do not even know that end of this rat race, even after masters and PhD, whether there is any job guarantee. And without that job guarantee, lowering the age or relaxation in the age of going into the assembly won't do anything for the youth. And this is what the youth has been showing on the streets in Jantar Mantar across different corners of the country, coming out in numbers and saying that, you will have to stop the paper leaks from happening, because education used to be a short way of social mobility for many Indians. But now it is not so, because it's like a gamble that our parents are taking, investing money into education with without any promises of returns.
मैं आपका बिल्कुल हिंदी में बोल देता हूँ, साधुवाद करता हूँ. आपने बहुत सरल शब्दों में बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट बात बोल दी. मतलब आपने सच में बहुत सरल शब्दों में बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट बात बोल दी. मतलब आई एम रियली इम्प्रेस्ड. Actually, education in a post-colonial society like ours was about social mobility. If educated people like you do not get to climb the economic, political ladder, then it's a useless piece of infrastructure.
Exactly.
Absolutely, Gopika, you have nailed it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean to say, if you have done your MA or BA diligently and you're still jobless, that is where the real anxiety is. So, what do you think? Will NEET resolve the problem? Will NEET exams solve the problem? Or it goes much beyond that?
It goes much beyond that. See, NEET is one issue where the anger has channelized. But what is centralization of examination doing to our country? In different parts of the country, different states, different universities has its own character. And institutional murders and students committing suicide did not start today. And the story of NEET should go back to the story of Anita, who comes from a very marginalized village of Tamil Nadu. She went to the Supreme Court and said that, no, I scored the highest marks in my 12th grade. Despite that, I'm not able to clear the NEET exam because there is an entire coaching mafia running behind it, and only if my parents have the money to send me to that coaching mafia, coaching institute, get me to that race, only then will I be able to clear it. So is it really fair at the end of the day? Is it really accessible at the end of the day? Is it really affordable at the end of the day? And this is the question. These are the questions that the youth of this country are asking, and youth coming from every parts of the country. Not many of us are in urban centers, not all of us are in cities, not all of us have access to internet or YouTube channels or YouTube educators, not all of us have access to tuition centers or coaching institute. What about us when it comes to the race of getting into IITs? What about us when it comes to the race of getting into IIMs? And what about us when it comes to the race of getting through
Vijay, today I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine, was saying that, the irony is the rich has no problem because it can afford to send their children outside. The poor has no problem because, for them, that education is not required because they will be in a different sector, working immediately at the age of 15, 14. It's the middle class which is feeling the crunch. There is an indebtedness in terms of education, and then there is no guarantee of a life path, which you get it. And in professions where you have those guarantees are very limited, like being an IAS officer, an IFS officer. So for rest, it becomes an open game, full of ifs and buts. Vijay.
Yeah, so see, I don't agree with the point that the lower income people, the lower income society doesn't have the issue. It's just that they don't have an option. It's not that they don't have aspiration, or it's not that they don't have the talent, but they're not being given the opportunity. Over a lakh of government schools have closed. Many thousands of schools don't have access to toilets, and especially for women. Schools don't have electricity. Where the state I come from, Telangana, 5,000 government schools were closed in the last 2 years. So when these many government schools are being closed, where would the poor send their kids to? They don't have any other option, and that's the reason they go into the workforce right after their teenage or even during their teenage. So it is not a problem that is targeting only one section of the society. Everybody in their own aspirational way have an issue. Even the rich, for that matter, for the amount of taxes they pay, maybe they're not getting the services, they're not getting the public education they need. So every person from their own perspective is facing an issue in this country.
Maybe let me reformulate it for you. Maybe I said it in a wrong way. What I wanted to say was the pinch is being felt hardest by the middle class. I think that is what I wanted to say. Because, middle class is about that social mobility, and that's where the pinch has become hard. And middle class is not the middle class of 70s, 2%. Now we have a national middle class.
Agreed.
In a very Durkheimian sense, or the Weberian sense, we have a larger middle class now. We have middle class in tier 1 city, tier 2 cities, and even tier 3 cities.
So I was there at Jantar Mantar for over 40 days from June 18th, right? The amount of volunteers, we have never even met any of them. Like, they were coming from different walks of life, different parts of the country. The kind of experience they had, the kind of backgrounds they came from was very enlightening to each of us to know what is happening at different parts of the country. Like late nights, we We used to have discussions like Abhijit, Ashutosh, all of us together, just to get to know the volunteers and to know as to why they have come here. And like you rightly said, that each one of them is facing the pinch. Some of them didn't have the money to go pay for their tuitions and private tuition fees. So why should we invest? Why should middle class invest so much in private classes, private coaching centers? It's because our schools are failing. Our education system is not teaching them what is being asked in the competitive exam. So they need to shell out more money. This whole the education mafia, you call it, or the system is not working coherently. It's not having outcomes and deliverables in line. It is here. It's everywhere. Like there's no end to it, and there's no understanding.
You guys have taught me something very important. Me being in part of traditional media, Brijesh, the politicians think by co-opting Gen Z in the electoral architecture, they might be able to subsume that energy. But, after talking to them, I feel that maybe they're not interested in direct, what you call legislative politics. For them, being political or in politics is a medium to address their issues, not to fight elections. Those two are different things.
Well, absolutely.
I'll just take one example.
I'll come to you, Vijay. Just let me take a quick comment from Brijesh, then I'll come to you.
No, I agree. But I think, given a choice as, Revanth Reddy and the other gentleman, the MOS skill, who is saying that the Jayant, the age should be reduced from 25 to 21. So I say if you ask me, why not? Because this does give people, who are politically aware and who feel that, that they can go into or get ticket or go into assembly to make for a more meaningful change. See, the fact of the matter is that, political parties talk a lot about, lowering the age or talk about women reservation and how, 33% of tickets should be, seats should be given to women for, comparing it with women empowerment. But they are not doing one thing which is well within their hand. Why not give a total number of seats, 33% of total number of seats which they have to women? It would be akin to a similar thing. But they don't do that. So I think, yes, anybody who gets a chance to get into assembly at the age of 21 would be someone who would be, completely well versed with the anxiety, completely well versed with the lingo of Gen Z, and I think he'd be a much more suitable representative of the era rather than someone who is 50 and is completely has no idea or no clue about what is happening on the ground.
Yes, Vijay, you wanted to say something?
So I wanted to bring one point is the governments here across the country are only focusing on fixing their leakages. They don't want to fix or make a foolproof system. For example, there's a concept called fee reimbursement in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, where the government reimburses the private tuition fee for the students who can't afford it. But they have been doing it for the past 15 years. They have been reimbursing the fee. I understand they're helping the students. But have they improved the standard of colleges? Have they improved the standard of junior colleges? No. And now they're in a financial crunch where unable to do the fee reimbursement. The colleges are not promoting the student. The colleges are not giving their certificates back. So the students are in a jeopardy here. The government claims to give fee reimbursement, but why can't you just improve the college infrastructure? Why can't you bring better professors, better investment and public money spent on colleges, but rather they're always in a hurry to fix the leakages. Like Band-Aid won't fix it.
Bandage
we
won't
need
fix
a foolproof fix.
You wanted to say something, Saki?
So I wanted to talk about how you said ki it's a middle class issue and they are getting the pinch. But recently NEET report came where we found out that, yeah, it's fine. 95,000 schools were shut down and at least 25 schools every day, government schools are getting shut down. So we are already stopping a large section of society to going into schools that consist of working class people, not middle class that we are talking about here. We are stopping them from going to primary schools itself. So how are they going to come out and talk about their issues like how we were able to? Because we did get education in central universities, in good schools. We could learn this kind of English to talk to you here. That's why we are able to tell our issues here. But those people who are not even able to go to schools, there are schools getting clubbed together. My relative is a teacher, government teacher, who once told me that the school has now been shifted to a part of the village where she does not want to go. how will the students, how will small kids would be able to reach there? So we are stopping them at the crux, like at the starting of the education, and because we are more visible, that's why we are thinking it is more of a middle class issue, and education, people don't want to have more education, they want to stop at 15, 16. We're assuming it because we don't know that the system is already stopping them at primary education. How can they dream of going so far where they'll be able to come to Jantar Mantar and have such a large...
Sharanya, do you think that there is a decline in our educational infrastructure?
Definitely, definitely. See, as Sakhi very rightly pointed out, the NEET Aayog's report, 95,000 schools have been closed. So the question of higher education comes much, much, much later. NEET is something that did resonate with the middle class of the country, right? But then NEET is not the only paper leak that has happened. Over 90 paper leaks have happened in the last 10 years. Be it from smaller exams to larger exams, be it any exam, it has happened across exams. In fact, while this movement was going on, while we were sitting on the sit-in at Jantar Mantar, across India protests were happening, UGC NET exam was also happening, taking place. And a lot of our friends went to give the sociology NET exam, and they found out when they were sitting and writing the exam that the paper was AI generated. In a sociology NET exam for PhD, the names of major sociologists were written wrong. And then after that, even such an exam that has been AI generated, that got leaked while actively there is an active movement going on in your country, in your capital, against paper leaks. So the quality of education declined, and NEET comes much later. PhD comes much later.
You're right, Sharanya. Sharanya, you are right. NEET comes much later. You're right. I don't dispute that. And I also don't dispute the fact that, I really don't want to get into that academic semantics of upper middle class, lower middle class, working class. That is not relevant. I will use generic words like student, people, state, society. But even in NEET, only few people get in.
Yeah.
What about those who don't get in?
Absolutely, and which is why we are against the centralization of examination, which is why we say that each state should have the right to decide their own examination. Every university should have the right to have their own entrance examination, by which, see, when there is a research university, every research university has its own character. They will have to judge the students who get in. Now, when you are giving a one system fits all criteria, when you're making it a one system, one centralized examination point, first of all, the government advertised it to be a more efficient system where you have to pay very little, you have to pay one time a fee, and you are eligible to apply for any university. But what is the, what is the reality of that advertisement? What you see is now after you give your CUET PG examination for masters, after that, for each admission into every university, you're again having to pay the registration fee. So where is the efficiency? Where is the affordability? Students would have had it much easier if they were willing to apply for DU or JNU or AMU or Jamia and give examination for each. At least then they would have some test of their aptitude. Now we have reduced everything to MCQs, where all you do is rote learning. There is no examination of what your research aptitude is, and this is how you're testing who your country's next generation of research scholars will be. So all of this boils down to the fact that why is there so much emphasis on centralization when it is not necessary? Our country is diverse and rich and unique for a reason, and it's that diversity that we should capture.
Vijay, do you think that private universities have been faltering in filling the space? There are a lot of private institutions that have come up.
It naturally happens when the public institutions fail, the private institutions do step in at that point. I don't think we should find fault in them. I don't think we should find them, held them guilty or responsible. It's something that the government is failing at.
Are they affordable? Are they affordable?
They are not. Maybe most of them are not. But you can't expect private universities also to do social service. I understand this in India, education is not for profit. and it has to run that way.
Yes.
But there are many loopholes in it. What the private institutions do is they run a management company on the back end. They give the contract of management company, and then they siphon off all that money. So honestly, expecting the private companies to do a social service is impossible. Let me be very to the point.
But I really don't want... Type, please go ahead, yeah? Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's the government who has to fill in the void. It's because the government is failing. N number of private institutions, coaching centers have popped up because the government had failed.
But I'm so surprised, Sharanya, then I'll come to all of you. Education has been the core agenda of this government. Like social welfare, when UPA was there, those rights and National Advisory Council, that was the core agenda of the UPA, right to information, right to education. Here, this government, the core agenda had been education. The entire, if you look at the government, even for RSS, education is it has a very strong place. And it is in this education, the entire Gen Z movement came up. I find this very interesting fact. Okay, you take the question.
See, I think there is a lot of farce in a lot of slogans. Even when we say that Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao was a slogan. But if you look at the dropout rates of women and women research scholars in the country, it has been the highest since at least 2016. And I come from JNU and I have the data to prove that the number of women research scholars have in fact declined. Sakhi comes from DU. The maximum number of students who are taking the exit option in the new national education policy are women. So we are as a society failing women. First of all, we are failing students, and if there is so much focus on education, like Vijay rightly pointed out, you cannot put the onus of having affordable education in the hands of a businessman. They're not going to do it. The onus should be on the government.
Brijesh is back with us. Brijesh, I said, this is the question. It is very ironic, The entire education is very central to the RSS, BJP, This is something they pivot because it is something which they want to be working on. And the entire dissent emanated on account of the things they have done in the education sector. How did that happen, Brijesh?
Well, I think, one thing is there that the dissent's trigger point was a paper leak. The dissent was not about a lack of quality as far as education system is concerned, of women, dropping out of university. The trigger point was continuous paper leak, which, which forced more than 20 students to commit suicide, which forced the Gen Z to take to the ground, and which also, provoked several political parties, albeit they didn't do the way it should have been done. To raise questions about the paper leaks. The state of education is something which we all are aware of. The fact of the matter is that yes, private universities are growing up. I agree with Vijay when he says that you cannot expect private universities to do charity, but the fact of the matter is that the choices for people of middle class people to get a good education in a government institute is almost next to nil. And this is the reason why the amount of money which is being charged by private institutions is growing, and there is no way, it doesn't look like that the government has any intention of curbing it or at least putting a lid to it. Other than the fact that the government, despite, we have heard the Prime Minister making a series of announcement about, appointing committees after committees to make sure that there is no paper leak, and it gets into some sort of a foolproof system and all. But we haven't seen either this government or the government before that, according education the kind of importance it deserves. Okay. The governments are completely silent on that.
Okay, Ishita, do you think that this entire CJP movement will have a longevity? Social longevity. I'm not using the word political longevity. Social longevity.
I think if they will be coming with the points which resonate with the people, of our country, the longevity will be there. If the party will try to be political and be a part of any political party, the longevity, the trust will go away. How it went from BJP, how it went from the other parties, it will similarly happen with CJP. So it will be more better if they'll not be political, they'll be more genuine towards the issue of the public, and they raise it in the, in the same purity, how they raised this NEET paper leak issue, in the same purity. Okay. And like one more thing I want to point out, like Karthike, you very rightly you said that rich people have less problem, and their problem cannot be compared with the people who are dealing with for the basics of their life. I cannot compare my problem to the people who are sleeping on roads, fighting for everyday food, fighting for everyday, what you say, ki aapko dihadi, fighting for their per day income. I cannot compare that problem.
Right.
And why this is increasing? Because nobody is talking about it. Nobody is talking about the equality. Why the government does not want to educate you? Because if you will be educated, you will question.
Okay.
You will question the government for that.
I'm running out of time. The last word goes to Vijay.
So, yeah, very valid point raised here. And I would like to give
Vijay,
an
do you guys
assurance
have
that-
political ambition?
Well, I personally might have, but that doesn't matter. I don't think CJP has any political ambition. And to solidify that statement, where I come from, Telangana, we'll be having a peaceful march there to start our agitations on the current establishment by the Congress government, which has taken lives of over 50 people by food poisoning in government schools in Telangana. Over 2,000 people have been hospitalized due to food poisoning incidents in Telangana.
Okay.
This fight of CJP is against the establishment, any party which is not taking care of its citizens, especially their children and the youth. So we are not here just to target BJP or Congress. It is our responsibility to take the voice of dissent to every street of the country, and we will do our own part in Telangana. And as far as your concern about politics is concerned, that yes, there's nothing wrong in going political, but I don't think CJP has any of that plans as of now, and maybe in the near future as well.
Okay, I really thank all of you for joining me in this 1 hour long show. I thank you. I've really run short of time. So to my viewers, this was a conversation with those who were part of the protest, who participated in the protest, those who covered the protest like me, and those who have observed the protest like Brajesh, and those who organized the protest like Vijay, to get a feeling that will reducing the age from 25 to 21 is the answer to the Gen Z anxiety? I would say may not be, because their concerns are slightly different. Electoral politics and getting your issues sorted through politics are two different things. This is all I had on this edition of On Point. Thank you. My colleague will see you on the other side.
Belfast, sudden act of violence, and within hours, a city was pulled into chaos. What began as a stabbing has now ignited nights of unrest across Northern Ireland. Fresh unrest has erupted in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir with large-scale protests. As the guns fall silent in the Iran war, Donald Trump has opened a new diplomatic front in the West Asia. Not with missiles, not with sanctions, but with a bold demand. Uganda has closed its border with the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo with immediate effect.
Why has Iran stopped the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz?
They want to attack